one thing that's interesting is that a lot of people, maybe even the majority of people, don't know that the largest archive on Earth is not the Library of Congress. There's an archive of images and sounds that dwarfs the largest library on Earth, and that is the archive of AT&T, which is the most massive database of images and sounds on Earth. There's no question about it. It is massive, the largest database that dwarfs the Library of Congress. That contains, AT&T has presided over the images of millions of murders, whether they're done with neuron activation or just even simply old, gun technology or whatever, or knife or anything like this. That's why anytime you want to know, like, what are the last thoughts of the person before they died, you're going into the AT&T, you're accessing the AT&T archive. That's where that information is, generally speaking. And it's interesting, like, tentatively, what are the last thoughts of a person like JFK before he died? I don't know. I don't have access to that archive, but it might be something like, the thought audio, "I can't swallow," or something, or just, the last few minutes, all thought stops when Sturgis fires that last shot. The brain is completely broken into pieces, and there's not one image that is recorded after that. And the images before that were basically empty. There wasn't a lot of thought, just an occasional passing audio. That's what it would be like. Or what were the last thoughts of John Lennon? Just apparently just an audio groan, something like "ah," just of pain. Or of Robert Kennedy, what were the last thoughts of Robert Kennedy as he lay dying? Was potentially something like the audio of "I taste metal" or something. It was just terrible thoughts. And but it's interesting information to know what were their last thoughts, what were the last images emanated from their brain. I don't really know. It'd be interesting to see what a lot of this information is. And that's AT&T's archive. It's a massive archive. Or like, what were the last thoughts of Pupin? Many people are interested in what were Pupin's last thoughts, and his last, the last question he thought of, or the last statement. A lot of these people, they make requests through thought. It's just a constant request of the AT&T archive. You want to know the last thoughts of Martin Luther King Jr., that's a request from AT&T. Let's see if we can get any response from them. Usually, for people like me, you don't get anything. It's like sitting there waiting. You don't get any information. It's only for these elite criminals who get access to the AT&T network, or your average Nazis or whatever of the insider network. People like me don't get access. It's because I want to open the channel up to the public, and you only get a library card if you are the most elitist, secretive, arrogant a-hole. You don't get, if you care for your fellow human, you don't get a library card. That's just, I think, an important thing for the public to know about AT&T. This massive, largest archive of images. And I think a lot of us are all waiting to see, like, what were the last thoughts? Or what were their lives like, and what were the private lives of these people? What were the sex lives of so many people of the past? What were their true thoughts? Were they racist? Were they not racist? Were they, what kind of violence did they have in their lives? Were they violent people, secretively? Who murdered who? Oh, those are wonderful questions. who did all these murders? We see the dead bodies, like, my mom or whoever, we see all the dead people, but who killed them? Who murdered them? We see 9/11, the controlled demolition. Well, who pushed the button? Who did the detonation on that? Who fired the missile into the Pentagon? These are the things we want to know. And AT&T has all the answers for that. Library of Congress doesn't. It's AT&T. They have all of that information. Just unending archives. It makes Google look small. Although Google may probably duplicate a lot of that information. In fact, that's probably a goal of Google and Yahoo and other newer, younger companies, is to try and duplicate and extract that AT&T database. But I'm sure it's not incredibly easy. AT&T has a monopoly on all the phone calls of recorded history. Of the phone history, which is the last 200 years or whatever. Every single phone call AT&T has recorded. And, of course, all of the cameras and microphones as they grew into people's houses, all of those images. Anybody who was interesting, all of the presidents and senators and celebrities, anybody who is remotely interested, athletes, even stuff I individually don't really care too much about, all just massive archive of AT&T. And the public doesn't even know about it. That's the amazing thing. They don't even know, or even have the tiniest hint. And if you want to access that archive, like so many of us do, hey, by all means, don't vote for people who are going to extend the copyright, who are going to keep government secrecy. You've got to end the government secrecy. That's just the beginning. That's just the tip of the iceberg for what you need to do. And implement full democracy where we vote directly on the laws. And so many other changes. Focus on stopping violence. Focus on, ending the drug war. And it's a very simple equation, If violent, then problem. Else, no problem. Basically. If somebody is violent, then they need to be locked up. But if they're not, it's a less problem. Just these basic concepts are what I think are eluding a lot of society.